Okay, cool. Okay, hi there. People ask me about glazing windows, and I thought I'd make a video to simplify it rather than making a really long email or a phone call. Um, so I'm going to just show a couple little steps, maybe talk about some materials, try to keep it short but educational. There's a lot, people say that there's a lot of stuff out there, but maybe not as much detail perhaps. So anyways, I'm gonna run on rambles and go off on tangents and talk. There's no structure to this. The glass, I soaked it in soapy water for a couple days, whatever, just whenever you get around to it. And then I'll use a razor blade amongst my pile. And I'll use like a needle nose vice grip with the razor blade. We'll get like the gunk and the crap and the paint on the edge of glass, and you'll run it over while it's wet, and then usually most of it comes off, so it's kind of a nice way to clean the glass while it's relatively easy. And you could like run it through a dishwasher and then rinse it off that way on a dishwasher rack that you collect or whatever, or you can just hose it off and let it sit, but then you get little water spots. If you're gonna salvage a piece of glass, I strongly recommend like whatever glass you manage to come up with, get a rag. Doesn't have to be microfiber. It's kind of luxurious. Turpentine and clean it off. And then when you're done with that, you'll use like pumice. Some people use like spackle or like veneer plaster or a drywall powder to get the oil off the glass. That's a big hot tip to keep it clean. You want to work clean as much as you can when you're playing putty land. I'll always have like a rag with, where's my turpentine? What time it is? It's turpentine. Whatever, Allison, Sunnyside, doesn't matter. It's nice to have a rag with some turpentine on it. It's great for cleanup. It smells really good. And it's great for cleaning your hands off. So turpentine's not chemically, it's not bad for you. It's not as bad as like acetone or paint thinner. It smells nice. So, anyways, it's all good. Allison, Sunnyside. Sunnyside's more local. Allison, you'll get it off the interweb. Maybe Amazon will get it to you. Whatever works. So the frame has been oiled with raw linseed oil. You can cut it with turpentine. There's a theme here. And then you can pre-treat all the joints in the seams so that everything is preserved. And then you can go over it later when that's dry, like a couple days. Whenever you get around to it, you don't have to hustle these frames through. Let things have time to dry out. It's not a constant marathon. And then I just paint over this with the tinted oil-based primer, just because it's oil-based and it seems to hold up better, and it's a much better chemical adhesion. So I'll probably just do one of these lights. Some people love to back bed, and it's almost like for some people it's a religion to do it one way, and it's blasphemy if you do it another. Fix the window. So what I mean by back bedding, which I did not do on this aspect because I don't want to cut out the putty off the backside, and this is pretty well protected anyways from the elements, so you don't need that critical water sealant factor going on in there. So if you're gonna back bed it, you gotta cut excess putty out, you gotta clean it, you gotta do all that stuff. And so if you, I don't embarrass myself, if you pre-paint the interior while the glass is all out, nice clean lines. So I like having nice clean lines because it sure sucks to paint the profiles on a sash. painting in general is no fun. So I try to make it as easy as possible. All right. People are gonna ask, what sash putty? What sash putty? Let's see if I can lift it. Zarco Type N multi-glaze. It's good for shop application. It skins a lot quicker than the dual glaze. Good stuff. I don't use any other sash putty. I don't think any of it's good. Like some of it's really a hassle to handle. Other stuff is like water-based. Some of it's really thick. Some of it's really thin. Some of it dries out too early or it takes forever to dry. I don't do DAP. So usually when I'm doing this, you can get a handful, scoop it out, knead it up. When you're done with your bucket, what you'll want to do is pat it down flat and then pour water on top, because that way the oil in the putty won't begin to polymerize and you won't get the Sarco blues or the putty blues of skinning on the surface and you got little gobs and goobers to deal with. So if you keep water on top when you're done with the day's work, that goes a long way. So just drain it and dab it off. It's not water soluble, it's oil based. So don't sweat it. Just keep up that discipline. If there's a religion to putty, put water on top when you're done. All right, so usually I'll get a wad that's comfortable in the palm of my hand, and we will start in the corner and we'll roll it off. Start on this edge and roll your way across. So you're applying it, you're not smushing it in there. Smush and smush. No, what you're doing is get the wad, you start on the corner and you roll across. There's other techniques. This is kind of the easiest. I'm not into the whole coily snake thing. It's really fun for like kindergarten, or if you want to like play with your putty, that's cool. You know, everyone could use a little snake or a snail if you can roll up just for aesthetics. But in this application, just get the putty in your hand. Oh, oopsies. I forgot to skip a step. I got excited. That's okay, don't worry. I forgot. I did glazing points. I like to use a point driver. Got these little magazines, little diamond shaped. They come in diamond, they come in triangles. I get diamonds because they're the most easily accessible. So I did set points here and here. You might see it in the camera. I forgot to do here and here because I just flipped the frame. So what do? Oh no, there's putty in the way. Well, set the points, don't worry about it. There. Easy cheesy. Go back to putty land. I like to wedge the putty a bit when I first take it out of the bucket, just for consistency. And then usually I'll just have a separate container. It doesn't have to be a yogurt cup equivalent. You could leave it, well, if I'm doing a big frame, I might just have a wad on the glass on one spot. I'll have it sitting on the cardboard. But sometimes I like to keep things compartmentalized. Compartmentalization wise, you know, little acro bins are nice for putting tools in just to keep it a little bit tidier. Organization is really nice to have. See, that's an awkward spot to reach. So let's do this. Let's make believe I just did a whole frame. What you can do is I take my show and tell off. I like to set these frames on a sheet of foam. So that way, might be in the camera, I can get these back sides. Okay. There you have it. So, glazing knives. There's two that I prefer. You can do a straight edge, or you can do a curved. So I'm a bigger fan of these ones for an 1 3/8 sash, where it's a half inch rebate, and for an 1 3/4 sash like these, I would probably go with this because it's a 5/8 inch rebate. It's a thing. So we can set him there for now. It's called a 3/4 inch bent, made by Lamson and Good Now. Handles, I've seen handles of these things look so messy. What's always nice to do, rag with turpentine, keep your tools clean on occasions. Treat your tools well, they'll treat you well, including your work. The cleaner you can keep your job, the cleaner and less of a pain it is, because, I mean, you know, it gets messy. So, with your rag of turpentine, you want to get this stuff removed. You're not scrubbing off germs, you're getting rid of oil and calcium carbonate and whatever additives that they put into this stuff, so that as you're working with something that's not very toxic. Ta-da! It's magic! I don't know if the angle is good on this, but when you're doing this kind of work, I like to start on the corner and exit. I'll go into that corner and exit. Go here. Oop, see, I was a little too thin right there. And exit. I'm gonna chop off the excess because I like to do that. Actually, I'm gonna chop off this little bit, smush it in, and get rid of that excess. Cut that guy, get rid of the excess. Then we'll come back and finish this off. There. And exit. Go across and exit. I might be able to get a closer view for you. It's kind of difficult when you got this thing sitting on a tripod way up in the air. I'll do another run maybe. Go through and exit. So, what other advice can I have for you on this stage? It takes practice, guys. That's what it takes. It takes practice. After you do it for a while, it's easier. But if you're just beginning, you'll find yourself revisiting. I'll often revisit corners. I'm not going to try to be perfect and pretend like I'm perfect. Perfect is kind of a man-made idea, and it's not very real. It's a great figure of speech. It's unrealistic expectations. So, you'll make mistakes. Mistakes are okay. I like to use two hands for more stability. So you can see we came up to this end where it's kind of awkward. You can finish it out and exit. You can also flip the frame like I did when I reset the points and such, or applied the putty. You can flip this around and finish it off. That's fine. That's why I like to have this thing on a table. It has a slight tilt, and then your frame can sit on a piece of foam so that it's not getting dirty from your surrounding environment. A frame, the other side of the sash can become a mess in a very short amount of time. And just patience. Patience, patience, patience. And practice. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes persistence. You can become very good at practicing doing something wrong. So try to learn from every time you do this. That's what I try to do. See, I totally messed that up. So I'm gonna come back, kind of float it out, chop that off. I'm not afraid to chop putty out. I'm not worried about the putty delaminating from the edges. I don't usually have that issue when you do the process clean and correct. Oops, a little messy there. 2 hands, go across. So we're gonna pretend that's perfect, quote unquote. A thing of beauty, piece of magnificence. Yeah, finish that off. Cut that little excess. Putty on the floor, maybe you might be able to see it, but I have a little a sheet of Corex. It's like plastic, it's a rigid plastic, kind of like cardboard. A lot of political signs, there you go. You'll see a lot of that this time of year. And it's great for cleaning off. The next secret to all this is now that I got this putty on the glass, I have a lot of oil on the glass. So I'll use a fine milled pumice. I know you can get it from SRS Hardware, you can get it from solventfreepaint.com. You could probably get it off Amazon and get it for 20 bucks, you know, for 50 pounds, I don't know. I used to get a lot of it from Solvent Free Paint when I did a lot of Outback paint. That's a whole other discussion. So it's fairly available. It's not a rare, precious item. So anyway, so I'll use a typical brush and I'll dust it on. You can get, I know a guy who used like a powdered sugar sifter to apply it. I don't know, the less you have, the easier it is, in my opinion. Try not to stir up too much dust. It is a silicate. And I'll see if I can get a shot that actually gets you closer up to the cleaning action. So you just wanna get the field, the middle part, get that clean. You can be a little aggressive. When it comes to the edges, this is one of the tricks that kind of makes things look nice and smooth. Just go down the line. It's okay. You're not gonna ruin anything. I'm not going into the corner, I'm brushing at an angle. I'm not going in or that way. I'm going away from it. What's a good example? I can't think of one right now. I'll think of one later. Just do it so that you aren't driving your brush into the putty. You'll get the hang of it. And I recommend doing all the putty across, because once you get this dust going on, I'm gonna have problems getting the putty to adhere to that edge. So I'll have to rub that down with turpentine. So do all your putty, do all your cutting, do all that first, and then do your pumice, your cleanup last. This is one of the final steps. What's nice about this is that this pumice helps the putty skin sooner, so you can paint it sooner. The other benefit is that if you got any little putty goobers along the edges that are hard to clean up, that gets the pumice around it so that you can remove it faster or easier, so that way it doesn't re-stick to your glazing job, if that makes sense. So don't sweat a lot of the small details. Through practice, you'll get it figured out. You'll learn. There's no better way to learn than by practicing it yourself. And that'll keep things a little bit tidier. This is one of my first little how-to videos. So hopefully we'll have something a little more sophisticated. like as I learn everything from doing windows, I too will learn to do things a little more efficiently. I recommend wearing an apron, or if you got a pair of bibs. Bibs are nice. And then just keep your work clean as you go. You know, if there's a mess, that means there's waste. You're not being as efficient as you could be. You aren't being as effective, and your quality of work isn't going to look nearly as nice. You need to be able to identify the variables and deficiencies, or defects. Not deficiencies, defects. Well, you know, there you go. When you're at this point and you want to get this pumice off, you can use a vacuum cleaner. Let's save a lot of time. So usually what I'll do, once this is all in and all the points are in the frames, it's not fun having glass fall out. I'll put the frame up towards the edge and I'll dust it. And hopefully you can see it from my point of view. It's not super lofty. So it will drop to the ground where you are ultimately going to sweep and vacuum or do what you do. And go back and forth. I'm hardly putting any pressure because the pumice doesn't need a lot of pressure. It's already been moved around. I'm not trying to remove any oil. I'm just trying to get rid of any excess pumice that might be on the glass or on the wooden frame. There, it's set. You can totally let it sit and cure skim for a day. When it comes to painting mode, before you paint it, I would, as a good routine, have your rag with turpentine and wipe it down. That way you'll get all the dust off. So, there. That's a short little chat from a distance. I can't think of anything significant to bring up from this. Maybe I'll get some more questions. Don't become obsessive with it. Like I said, you're gonna brush it out. You'll remove some marks from that application. And of course, then if you're gonna paint it, you're gonna paint it. And then by the time it's painted, and if you're gonna do it by hand, you're gonna cut the excess paint off to straight lines. And by the time this is in an opening, you're not gonna be right here working. It's gonna be 20 feet, either on a second floor or on a main floor, but either case, it's not gonna be looked at from a foot away. It's going to be looked at from 8, 10, 12 feet away. And most people don't stare at windows and try to look for defects. Keep that in mind. It's not lowering your quality of work. It's just understanding what's appropriate. What level of work is appropriate? And how much time do you really want to spend on glazing? Because there's a whole lot more to be doing. It's kind of more exciting stuff. Playing with putty, I think so. But if you're beginning, don't be obsessive. Expect to make mistakes. Don't expect it to be perfect or flawless. Because there's more steps along the way that will alleviate any blemishes that you may have from your putty job. Yeah, so maybe what I'll do is, that'll be a different video. All right, thank you for watching.